Okay, so we should be recording now. Before we get started, my camera's over here, so I'm gonna be looking at you. Actually, I think I'll move you. I'll move myself, actually. So, before we get started, I'll just say, I'll make it known that this is practice. We are practicing doing this, and this is my mom. She's not a real patient, and I am a social work student at Troy University. My name's Alexis Mason, and we are going to practice going over the biopsychosocial assessment for adults. So, real quick before we get started, just wanted to go over a couple of things with you, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, I'm curious to know if you have ever received mental health treatment before or behavioral health treatment.
Yes.
Okay. And so, do you kind of have an idea of confidentiality and consent and things like that with mental health?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, my name's Alexis Mason. Most people call me Lex. And my role in the therapeutic relationship between therapists and clients or patients is really to help you establish goals that you want to achieve and work out ways with you that you can reach those goals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And with mental health treatment and behavioral health treatment, we have these rules around confidentiality. And most everything that we discuss is confidential, as in, I'm not going to tell anybody about anything that we discuss during our time together. But there are some exceptions. The exceptions to confidentiality in therapeutic relationships are really limited to if there's a concern that you might harm yourself or other people, if there's a concern that children or vulnerable adults are at risk of being harmed, or if, let's say, a judge were to ask me or subpoena me to give them some information on a very limited basis, I would have to deliver information to them. Does that make sense?
Yes. I have a question, though.
Yes.
What if the person who, is it a stenographer, your person who transfer it from your writing to my record, what if they speak about it?
Speak about it to whom?
Anybody. Their friends. What if, because we live in such a small town, what if she tells someone that I know?
So, two things with that.
Or he. She or he.
So, two things with that. That's a great question. In this practice and this setting, I, as the treatment provider, would be writing my own notes. In your electronic record, we have kind of moved to this standard of having electronic medical records, and so having scribes to document medical appointments and behavioral health appointments, for the most part, they've gone away, and we keep medical records locked down in it's a password protected system that houses all of our electronic records. Now, the second part of your question, if someone from my office were to choose to disclose information about you or about what we talk about, there are legal repercussions that that person would experience, specifically related to HIPAA. Do you know what HIPAA is?
Yes.
Right. So, specifically related to HIPAA, that person would be subject to any legal or you know otherwise implications of violating HIPAA or Privacy Act standards. Does that sound good?
I understand that and I appreciate it, but you still can't stop people from talking. So that might, you're going to have to prove to me that I have your trust before I divulge a lot.
Yeah, totally, totally. And that's kind of what we will try to establish here during this initial intake. And I just want you to know some of these questions that I'm going to ask you, you are under no obligation to answer. Um, it compared to previous behavioral health experiences, the questions that I ask you might seem a little strange. Um, but the reason why I'm going to ask you these questions is because from a therapeutic intervention perspective, from a social work perspective, really I'm trying to gain an overall picture of the person that I get an opportunity to speak to. And really again, that's just so we can hypothesize the best way to reach any goals that you might have. So building up that trust in that relationship, I agree, is really important. And that's why you're under no obligation to answer any questions that you feel uncomfortable answering.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, there are going to be a lot, we're going to cover a lot today, and it might seem pretty overwhelming. So, if there's ever a time that I'm, going too fast or you want to circle back to something, please let me know. Happy to do that, and we can talk more about it or less about it and just move on. Does that sound good?
Great.
Okay, great. So, are you able to tell me in your own words what brings you in to talk with me today?
Um, I have started a sobriety journey and I am working on my fourth step, which is people, places, and institutions that I might have that maybe have made me anger or affected me in some type of way, which of course eventually will lead into me making a list of individuals that I owe an amends to. And in AA, part of the rules, if you will, is that if an amends is going to hurt a person, that instead of making an in-person amends, that we make a living amends, meaning like if I kick someone's dog, I volunteer at the Humane Society, something like that.
Yeah.
So get ideas and whether or not my amends would hurt that person.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you are navigating this really transformative time in your life.
Absolutely. And I've, when it was up to me to make decisions without talking to someone, it always seems to have been the wrong decision. And I've never been open with my life, but I feel like I can do that now.
Great. Cool. So you mentioned a few moments ago that this transitional period in your life is really kind of centered around your sobriety journey and all of the things that come with that, reconciling some emotions that come with it, maybe some rumination, and seeing how you can interact now with people and organizations and just the world around you. Is that a fair assessment?
Correct. Yes, and I have not been sober in 25 years, and for the last 20 years, although I've only been married to him uh, for a short while, we were together for 20 years, and he pretty much took care of everything. So now I have to. And doing that sober is very weird for me.
Yeah. So maybe talk a little bit about relationship building and maintaining those close social and personal relationships through this journey as well.
If some people choose to uh, accept my apology.
Okay. Okay. So you had mentioned that you have been sober for 4 months.
No. Um, November 11th will be 8 months.
Okay. All right. So 8 months sobriety, and you're on your fourth step.
Yes.
Is that all right? All right.
Yes.
So how do you think going through your sobriety journey has impacted your day-to-day functioning or your day-to-day life?
Um, Things that used to baffle me don't anymore.
Okay.
Um, the uh, the best way I can say it is the fog has lifted.
Okay. Okay. And what I'm hearing is this is in contrast to what you were experiencing before you started going down this path.
Definitely.
Okay. I want to ask you a little bit more about some of the emotions and mindsets that you brought up a little bit earlier, if that's okay. Is that okay
Yes.
with you? Okay. So you talked a little bit about anger being a powerful influence um, before and after sobriety. Is that a fair assessment?
Um, it is. The anger uh, actually is. Um, I was angry at myself, and I was angry maybe a little bit at myself, and the fact that I could not, or that I could not um, stop drinking.
Okay.
Now I'm not angry at myself so much But I am angry that I can't drink like the normal people.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not even angry. I'm just like disappointed, I guess.
Right. Okay.
I don't like being angry.
Yeah. Any instances of maybe racing or recurring thoughts, something we would describe as, rumination?
Like now that I'm sober,
Yes.
racing thoughts. No.
Okay. What about when you were struggling with alcohol?
Get very scary thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Being easily startled or nervous at all?
I lived in fear and paranoia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone ever told you that your beliefs or way of thinking is um, odd or strange?
I was told that um, that my thoughts were ridiculous,
Okay. Okay.
foolish.
Okay. And do you know what kind of thoughts they might have been referring to?
They might have been like ideas, like I wanted a closed-in porch put on my trailer, and my husband, like how I wanted it. I'm very bad at describing things. Um, so it was that, and just things. I guess I have felt that I've never been heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big, yeah, heard.
And what does that mean for you now? Does that have any influence on um, your moods now? Do those past experiences?
Sometimes I regress on them.
Yeah, you agree. What does that kind of look like for you as far as
Uh,
mood?
it I see where maybe I gave up too easily,
Mhm.
trying to get my point across. Uh, but then, um, like when I felt I was being unheard, I kind of regressed to the little girl version of Denise, sitting in her closet. But now I don't have those people in my life who, I don't want to, not shunned me, but didn't support my ideas.
Right. Okay. Okay. How would you describe your relationship with sleep through this transition?
I probably get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then I'll stay up for about an hour. Then I'll sleep for about 2 more hours, and then I get up, um, meditate for a bit, and do some reading, shower, and go out. Sometimes I'll take a nap, and sometimes I won't.
Yeah. Okay. So about 5 hours of sleep per night.
Yes.
How long does it take you to fall asleep?
Not long.
Okay. Are you on any sleep medication to help you with that?
I'm on medicine that could cause drowsiness. It's for musculoskeletal pain or something.
Okay. But no medication prescribed by like a mental health professional for sleep or anyone else for sleep? Okay. When you are sleeping, are you experiencing any like night terrors or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Kind of in that vein, just a yes or no. Are you a survivor of trauma?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Because of our our social work client relationship, I want to ask you a question, and this is in no way me judging you or fishing for information, but I need to ask, do you now or have you ever contemplated suicide?
I have.
Okay. 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 Well, I appreciate you sharing all that with me. It sounds like your journey through life so far has really shaped where you want to go, and maybe we can establish some goals about um, decision making specifically, and working through some of that anger, and relationship building, and having a growth mindset. And we can talk more about that too if you're interested in that.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't really think anger is an issue anymore.
Mm.
I don't. Um, I really have no need to get angry, except at current administration.
Okay. I get a lot of clients that say that, so you're not alone, I assure you. But okay, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and being vulnerable. I want to kind of pivot my questions a little bit. Like I said, it might seem strange how we go through this, but I want to kind of just pivot to more of the medical side of the house, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we talked about previous alcohol use, and again, I'm happy that you shared that with me, and took a chance of being vulnerable. Um, but I want to ask, do you use tobacco products or nicotine products at all?
I do smoke cigarettes.
Okay. When's the last time you smoked? Do you do it every day, or?
The last time I smoked a cigarette,
Mm-hmm. Do you smoke daily or weekly or?
uh, 3 hours ago.
Okay. And any other recreational drug use or illegal drug use?
Now?
Yes.
No.
In the past?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, do you know who your current primary care physician is?
Uh, no, I don't know. I think it's Dr. Monroe. I'm not sure.
Do you know where they work?
At the Sarpy County VA clinic.
Okay. Do you know what medications you're currently on? You had mentioned earlier that you're on some things for some muscular pain, musculoskeletal pain.
I don't know them off the top of my head, but I do have the bottles.
Okay. We can work that out, certainly at a later point. Um, and I want to kind of pivot again. I mean, again, this is an all-encompassing assessment, and you doing okay with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I want to ask you a little bit about your work history and educational background and legal history as well, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what would you consider your work history to be like? Sporadic or good or
It was I was always employed from the time I was I mean, I started working when I was 10 years old delivering newspaper.
yeah.
So employed from the age of 10 all the way up to the age of, I don't know, 43, I guess.
That's really powerful. And so how long would you normally keep a job when you started working?
Uh, I, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, there was times I was working 3 jobs at once. It just,
Wow.
like when I was younger, uh, a lot of the well, in my teenage years were jobs through a job training program because I moved out of my parents' house at a young age. And so I qualified for they called it JTPA, Job Training Partnership Act. Um, and those programs were usually, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks, maybe 12. Um, and then in the summer times, I would go and work out in the woods for the conservation department. So I guess, like until the program end, really. And I was in the military, and then I worked at Edward Jones, which I loved, and I did that for 7 years, but that job ended. And up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, there isn't a lot of uh, work that like office manager work or I don't know what I'm trying to say is the work was hard. It was a lot of restaurant work, a lot of minimum wage work that my body just would not allow me to do.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you have a extremely vast work history, which again I think is really powerful and says a lot about your character. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. And so, are you retired at this point in your life?
I tell people I'm retired because I don't feel like explaining my disability.
Okay, that's fair. Can you tell me a little bit about your educational background?
I quit school when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
Then I went back, or maybe I was 15 when I quit school. I don't remember, but I did go back to an alternative education, which was a smaller school. And like I said, I moved out of my parents' house so I could work and go to school at the same time, because my school was only like 4 hours long.
Mm. And then you had mentioned you joined the military. Was that immediately following high school?
Um, I thought it was, but no, I think I went to the recruiter like uh, I thought I went in the military October of '87, but it was October of '88.
Okay. And in the military, did you work in small groups? Or were you kind of in an office by yourself? Or
Um, all of the above.
okay.
Uh, um, I worked a lot in what we used to call the orderly room. I don't know what it's called now.
Okay.
So I've worked in squadrons that were, you know, 300 people. I've worked in squadrons that were 500 people, and I've worked in squadrons or flights where there was 100 people.
Okay.
So, and um, I was a lot of people's best friend,
Yeah, that makes sense.
the go-to. A lot of people for administrative information, and they used to call them Air Force regulation information, would come to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I have the answer, I would get it. So
So it sounds like you were a people person.
I was the go-to.
Yeah, had a lot of talking to do. Nice. Um, what's the highest level of education that you've completed?
Uh, I just got my associate's degree. Um, I don't know how old I was. In my 40s. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Okay. And how would you describe your experience in school overall?
I loved school, but there was too many people. I felt lost.
Okay.
Goes back to the uh, unacknowledged and unheard.
Okay. Okay. And following school, we talked about you being in the military. So I'm curious if you're able to describe to me what your kind of relationship with um, the police is, or the law, if you will.
Like, have I been to jail?
Sure.
Well, what do you want to know?
Have you been to jail?
I have been to jail.
Okay. How many times?
Uh, 3 or 4.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
No.
Okay. Okay. promise that's all I needed to know about legal questions. And I appreciate you. Um, I appreciate that you took the risk in sharing that with me.
Okay.
Um, Last thing I want to touch on before we kind of decide what the next steps are going to be is I want to ask you about personal and family relationships, if that's okay. Okay. So, who's in your family? Parents, brothers, sisters, children? Who's in your family?
I was adopted. My birth mother placed me for adoption at birth. My DNA related father, uh, believe it. My adoptive mother has passed away. My dad is still alive. He's 93. My younger brother passed away. Uh,
I'm
I
really
have
sorry to hear that.
a sister and two other brothers, but I only talk to one of the other brothers.
Okay. Okay. And do you have any children?
Oh, yes, of course I do. I have four.
That's great. That's great.
They are great.
And who lives in the house with you now?
Just me and my dogs.
Okay. Has there been any significant family transitions in the last 3 months? Any new additions to the family or anyone pass away in the last 3 months that you know of?
No. Well, in 3 months?
Yes.
Yes. My grandson and my his mother, my soon to be, well, she'll always be a daughter to me. That's my grandson's mother. Moved to Indiana.
Okay. And how does that kind of settle with you and impact you?
Um, quite honestly, I didn't want them to move, but I knew when they moved out of my house, I knew that the dynamic of the relationship would change,
Mm.
and it did. I, even though they were close by,
Mm.
I didn't get to see my grandson very much.
Mm.
Um, I, I could have went out to their house, and I did, and one of the dogs bit me, so I didn't want to go out there anymore.
Mm.
Um, and now I don't hear from. I take that back. I did get pictures of my grandson last night in his Halloween costume.
Mm.
But to be quite honest, I'm very used to people leaving my life, and so yeah, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so are most of the relationships in your family that way, do you think?
Um, I am rebuilding a relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
It was not his fault that our relationship waned, for lack of a better word. I was too embarrassed being a drunk to talk to my dad, and I was in such a way that I couldn't go anywhere unless I had a good buzz going.
Mm.
And I knew that my dad would be disappointed in that. So I didn't want him to see me like that. And my sister and my brother, who I talked to.
Yeah.
One of my daughters chooses not to have a relationship with me.
Okay.
My oldest daughter has been sober uh, maybe a month less than me.
Okay.
And my baby child just was here for a week.
Mm.
Their girlfriend and them came to visit.
Mm.
And my other child is stationed in Alaska.
Mm. So all over the place.
They are, and I hope to someday. I know I can't relive the past or, like redirect it or whatever, but I hope someday that we can all um, unstrain our relationship.
Yeah. And to me, it sounds like you've taken several very intentional steps on kind of mending those familial relationships with a few people in your family. And so I think that's really special. That's really powerful. How, how is your social support network, like friends or acquaintances?
In Before I moved to Omaha, I thought I had friends,
Mm.
but even none of them uh, contact me. Of course, I don't reach out to them either. Um, a very good friend, two friends actually, have passed away since I've been here, and um, none of the people that I drank with, who I thought were my friends, had the common decency to tell me. Uh, so, like I said, I'm used to it. I'm used to the pseudo friendships,
Mm.
the pseudo family relationships.
Mm.
Um, yeah, all the pseudo isms.
Yeah. Yeah. So you, what I'm hearing is you moved to Omaha fairly recently.
Uh, I don't remember how long ago it was.
Okay. Okay. What do you like to do down there? What do you like to do for fun?
Actually, I have a group of ladies that I do hang out with, and I have finally, um, I know what friendship and fellowship is. So I hang out with them. I go to plays. I've gone to concerts. Um, I've gone to farmers markets. I've gone to thrift stores. Um, and I hit probably at least one AA meeting a day.
Nice. Nice. Well, and again, thank you for sharing all that with me and being so open. That really helps me kind of gauge um, where I think I can help you decide on some goals and work towards achieving them. And so, with that, I was hoping I could take an opportunity to kind of just discuss what I'm hearing a little bit and see if that resonates with you at all, so that we can talk about maybe making a follow up appointment and working towards um, some goals, if that's okay.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. So what I kind of a theme that I've been hearing through our conversation is, it sounds like you've been around all of these people through your whole life. There's just been people coming in and out and in and out. Um, Pretty large family, couple siblings, and going to school and then transitioning to a new school, working, joining the military, this large um, this large organization, and even you know having all these friends back home and moving to a larger city. What I'm gathering is you've been around all of these people, and yet kind of a central theme in your life is that you're feeling alone
Mm-hmm.
through all of this, and there's this theme of people leaving, and how I like to say, we all we got. The cavalry ain't coming. Is that kind of on par with what you're feeling, maybe?
Yeah, I have huge abandonment issues.
Okay, okay, okay. And so, because of that, I would love to talk with you more through follow up appointments, because I think what we can start to tackle is really focusing on relationship building and just this, we call it like a sense of self and self awareness. And what that means is improving our self esteem, right? We're improving our self esteem. We're deciding how we're going to show up in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and navigating life more confidently, with our shoulders back, and um, being committed to building those positive social and familial relationships. And I think that would be something that we could potentially discuss in future appointments if you're open to it.
I would love that.
Okay. Okay, great. That's it. That's the assessment. Thanks, Ma. I appreciate it.
I couldn't even make anything up. The only thing I could think of is your secretary better not be a rat.
No, that's okay. That's
You
okay.
did get that was a good question though, wasn't
It
it?
was a good question, and I wasn't prepared for it, but
You
all
did
right.
good.
So I'm gonna stop the recording now and see if it
Oh
saves.
yeah.